Well, as we embark on the second half of the preseason and get closer and closer to opening night, we got to bring in Bob Stauffer to talk about what we've been seeing as preseason kind of winds down. Of course, we still have 4 games to play,
Yeah.
but what we've been seeing in 16 players essentially sent back or cut from the training camp roster. What are you seeing in terms of what we're noticing about the team now?
Well, Paige, it's been interesting. I mean, I think there was a lot of opportunity provided to some of the guys that are probably designated ultimately for Bakersfield. I think there's been 2 primary areas where there's been a lot of evaluation take place, and that would be fourth line center, as well as second and third pairing right shot defense. So I think that's got a lot of everyone's focus. The team now is down to 41 players. They've got the 4 goaltenders. They've got 13 defensemen, including Bo Akey, who's out right now. And that would leave 24 forwards, and they've got 4 players not available. Obviously, Evander Kane being one of them. We've not actually seen Rafael Laval the last couple of days. Of course, yesterday was a CBA mandated off day. But also Robbie Yarvente, Berglund, amongst others, not available right now. So I think that from my perspective, what we focused through the first 4 games, there was a lot of hockey. Basically, the most the guy could play would be 3 because of the split squad game. My focus has been on right shot defense and sort of that fourth center position. But I do think we're going to see a little bit of a shift here, and I think the shift is going to be, trying to build some continuity. As an example, every practice day where they've split the groups up and gone, main NHL group and then sort of the AHL group, we've seen Leon Draisaitl, and he's had Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson together. Well, they haven't played together yet in a preseason game. I expect to see that a couple times between now and the start of the regular season when Edmonton opens up against Winnipeg. So those are the sort of things we'll be looking for.
I want to ask you about the specifics of that line and other things in just a moment, but as you mentioned specific positions, Chris Knobloch, after the game in Winnipeg the other night, said, you know what, a lot of these guys we may not see through the regular season on our NHL roster. However, we're focusing on specific details that they can add. What are those specific things that coaches are looking out for through the preseason?
Well, certainly, like today at practice, Derek Ryan is centering Vasily Podkolzin and Corey Perry. Where's James Hamlin in the mix there? Where is Lane Peterson? And where's Noah Phil? Like, do those guys each have a chance to sort of work their way into the mix? So by dressing the lineup they had in Winnipeg the other night and keeping Derek Ryan on right wing for that game, that to me was an indication that they wanted to see some evaluation against some really good players because the Jets dressed Scheifele. They had Lowry down the middle as a great third line center. So there's an area in terms of matching up against some of those, and those are Scheifele and Lowry are 6'3" and 6'5" centermen. How do they do in the face-off circle? Sam O'Reilly as well. We shouldn't discount Sam. I mean, I think logic dictates he's probably headed back to London at some point. But saying that, he's played 3 preseason games. He's still here. He could get another preseason game in. It's been a wonderful camp with him. And you can see why Rick Bracey in this draft drafted him. Because he's smart, because he's heady, because he's on the right side of the puck defensively. And he, of all the guys, got the most, head-to-head face time against Scheifele. And that was quite an undertaking for an 18-year-old player. So there's an illustration at center on the and same goes in terms of the pairings on the right side. We know that Darnell Nurse at some point here is likely maybe to get in a game late in the preseason, but Ty Emerson, can he handle what would amount to second pairing minutes? Now it's interesting, the game here against Calgary, I was a little bit surprised how much Ekholm and Bouchard played, and I think Paul Coffey in the game in Winnipeg made sure that his defense all basically played 17 to 20 minutes. And that gave a good evaluation process against a really good team. The Jets dressed their top 3 defensemen in that game. The Oilers' top 3 defensemen are unequivocally Ekholm and Bouchard, and then Nurse. None of those guys played against the Jets, so there were some other opportunities there for players.
We're about a week and a half out from the home opener here at Rogers Place, and for things to get underway, that's exciting. And you mentioned a line that a lot of people are excited about in terms of Draisaitl, Skinner, and Arvidsson. To be able to see them together, and of course we've seen them a little bit through skates here at Rogers Place, but just how excited can Oil Country be for that line and just the formation of this team in general?
Well, I think the Oilers have the best top 6 in the NHL, the 2 lines they've got. I mean, you got Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, and Hyman. Arguably the best line in the National Hockey League last season. In Leon's case, and remember last year at the start, who was on Connor McDavid's wings? It was Evander Kane and Connor Brown. Evander had an injury-riddled season and some significant core issues, and Connor Brown was coming back from that, a significant injury, and it took him a while to sort of, and he looked, by the way, Connor Brown looks much quicker this year than he did last year at training camp. So I think there's an opportunity here for the Oilers to have a terrific top six. But saying that, there will be times I think you'll see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins go in between Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson, and Leon Draisaitl move up to that line with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman.
Well, there's plenty to look forward to, Oil Country, about the regular season, but of course we still have the preseason to take care of with 4 more games left on the docket for Edmonton, and it all continues tomorrow here at Rogers Place against the Seattle Kraken.